Did you know that of all the social platforms out there, Pinterest almost always gets forgotten, but it's one of the most powerful platforms you can be using because the content you put there is evergreen and it lives a lot longer in the algorithm and it's searchable forever. Pinterest is extremely powerful. And in today's episode, we're actually going to have an episode takeover from the one and only Tori Tait, who actually worked as a consultant at Pinterest for a handful of years before teaching entrepreneurs like you how to leverage it properly. There's no one better to learn from. She's going to give you the inside scoop on how to become a Pinterest unicorn and have your pins get more clicks and drive more traffic and ultimately more sales for your brand. So let's do this.
Hi there, I'm Tori Tait, and today I'm here to talk about the power of a pin. Now, I'm sure you've heard or experienced at some level that Pinterest can be a powerful channel in terms of sending traffic to your website or blog. That's because there are 450 million monthly users on Pinterest. Yep, that means 450 million people are logging on to Pinterest and looking for new ideas, inspiration, things to buy, and solutions to their problems. No doubt, Pinterest can move the bar for your blog, brand, and business. That's because pinners are not mindlessly scrolling. They're actively looking for new ideas. In fact, they're watching 1 billion videos a day. And 2 out of 3 pinners are actively seeking out new ideas or services they need. That means they're searching in that search bar right on Pinterest. And because 95% of all searches are unbranded, meaning pinners aren't looking for specific well-known brands, the playing field is totally leveled for small and new businesses just like yours. Pinners are indeed discovering people and brands that they've never heard of before. And most pinners, actually 85% of all pinners, are doing this on their phones. That means Pinterest is with them at soccer practice, in line at the grocery store, and even in bed with them late at night. Now that's pretty powerful. Pinterest content becomes personal and intimate when it's literally the last thing a person sees before they go to bed at night. But is it your content that they're discovering, saving, and clicking on? Don't worry, that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. How to get your content seen, how to attract new readers and businesses from Pinterest. I'm going to break it down for you with some simple concepts that you can start today. But first, just a little about me. Again, I'm Tori. I've spent 11 years leading content and social strategy for e-commerce startups, with an emphasis on using Pinterest to grow brand awareness, traffic, and revenue. This led to me spending 3 years working directly as a consultant at Pinterest. I strategized and created ads for hundreds of their top brands and advertisers over the 3 years. From food to clothing to insurance companies to music apps, you name it. And for the last couple of years, I've been teaching entrepreneurs, bloggers, and small businesses how to use the same pro Pinterest tactics big brands use to drive more traffic and sales. And I want to point out that because Pinterest is such a visual platform, I like to teach by using a lot of examples. So every pin I share today is a pin that I have personally designed and have permission to share with you. And the strategies we're going to talk about work, regardless of what type of business you have. Yep, they work to drive traffic, acquire subscribers, book clients, sell memberships, sell physical and digital products, and build your brand awareness. So whether you're a service-based business or a membership course, like some of these guys, or you sell products, the lessons we're about to go over are extremely applicable. So let's get started. To be successful on Pinterest, I ask that you make 3 mind shifts. Rethinking how to approach Pinterest is a crucial step to upping your game and fueling results. The first mind shift is to stop thinking about you. Now, I don't mean that in a rude way, but it doesn't really matter how many followers you have, how many group boards you agree to join, how much you're pinning other people's content versus your own content. Nope. Good news. You can let all of that go. It doesn't matter. Because Pinterest is all about your content and your content only. What matters is that you're giving all of your attention to the actual content you own and that you're sharing on Pinterest. That's what makes Pinterest work when you think about it. The platform needs you to be creating and sharing original content and publishing that regularly. You need to make sure your content is easily shareable, meaning when you spend all of that time publishing a killer blog post, a gorgeous gallery of photos, or a smoke and sales page on your website, people need to be encouraged and shown they can easily pin those images. You want your content being pinned by as many people as possible, right? So you have to invest the time in creating quality images that are primed for Pinterest. Make sure they're vertical, the proper format. Always has been a 2:3 ratio. This has never changed. I know there's a lot of articles out there on, which pin is the best size. Always go with what Pinterest says. And they've always said a 2:3 ratio. To make that really simple, it's 1,000 pixels by 1,500 pixels. You want to make sure your pins are pointing people back to quality content. It should be helpful and inspiring, and it should be exactly where they thought they were going when they clicked your pin. So stay honest. Have you ever clicked a pin that said something like 20 low-carb breakfast recipes? And then when you landed on the blog post, it actually had 0 recipes on it? Yeah, it just linked off to other blogs. That's not really honest, and it's not helpful. Not quality content. And for you, that would be meaningless traffic anyway, because those people would just bounce or click off your site right away. You also want to focus on content that taps into a pinner's planning mindset. Pinners plan early. They go to Pinterest and look for ideas around seasons, holidays, gifting opportunities, and they're doing this about 3 to 4 months ahead of the typical Google search. So if you have content that has a seasonal relevance, make sure you're focusing on that content and publishing it to Pinterest 3 to 4 months ahead of time. So we've agreed you're going to make sure you're investing time on creating content that is helpful, beautiful, shareable. But you also need to make sure that the actual pins you're creating to promote that content are going to stop someone in their scroll. You could have the best, most original content around, say, a chocolate chip cookie recipe. Yet your pin could look just like all the others. How are you going to stand out in a sea of chocolate chip cookies? Really, think about it. You have to have a killer pin image. That's where the second mind shift comes in. You need to become a unicorn. Yeah. If you design pins that look like everyone else's, you will not stop a pinner in their scroll and get that click. So you need to think about your own creative style, your own creative recipe. I get in this unicorn mindset every time I have a new client to design pins for, regardless if it's Ralph Lauren or Facebook. The thinking is the same. You never want to try to appeal to everyone. Your content isn't for everyone. Think about your ideal reader, ideal customer, your ideal subscriber. You need to design for them. This means avoid using overused templates or creating pins like everyone else in your niche. Don't be vague or misleading with your images or graphics. And don't just create one pin design for one piece of content. Let's talk about that a little more. Because to be a unicorn, you have to speak to the pinner. You have to speak to that ideal person on Pinterest you want to get in front of. When someone is scrolling, you want them to immediately know that your content is not for them or it is for them. Show them how your service or product will fit into their life. When a pinner thinks, oh, this is what I need, that's when they stop scrolling. Make sure your images are supported with text overlay. The image can't do the job itself. So you need to add text overlay to your images. You're not including a story. You want to make sure that your text is compelling, it speaks to the pinner, but it's short. Text overlay should be short and large because remember, most pinners are scrolling on their phone screens. So you need to be big, bold, clear, compelling, and stand out as they're scrolling through their phones. And it's crucial that you deliver on that landing experience. Again, back to that core content you spend all that time on. If you've stopped someone in your scroll and enticed them enough to click off of Pinterest, make sure where they land is exactly where they expected to land, and you deliver that valuable content to them. If you miss this step, all that previous effort is really for nothing. And don't forget about being cookie cutter. You do not want to be another chocolate chip cookie pin. Keep testing different designs and text overlays. You'll start to discover a so-called creative recipe that you can use, but it shouldn't be literally the same template over and over. So you'll develop your own style and, based on what you see people are engaging with and clicking on. So you'll make several iterations of each piece of content. Pinterest rewards you when you're adding new, fresh pins. A new, fresh pin doesn't necessarily mean a pin leading to a new piece of content on your website. It means a new pin design, a new description uploaded to Pinterest. So you can have many pins that are unique, but that point back to the same piece of content. So instead of just pinning the same one pin to 5 different boards, why not create 5 slightly unique pins to represent that piece of content? It's totally worth the effort. Here are some examples of pins that proved to stop a pinner in their scroll because they knew it was exactly content they needed. These pins speak directly to the ideal pinner for each of the brands and used imagery and text overlay to pack that, what I like to call the 1-2 punch, the killer quality image with the text overlay. The first pin proved to send me a significant amount of new traffic and leads. If you're struggling to grow your email list and this pin pops up in your feed, you're likely to be interested because I quickly point out that I gained 4,000 new subscribers with just 2 old blog posts. I'm implying here that it didn't take a lot of effort, which leads to content delivering on that promise, outlining exactly what I did. So I stopped the pinner in their scroll, I got the click, and then I delivered the quality content. The second pin used several images, so different, not just one large image, multiple images, to demonstrate what a product does. At a quick glance, you get it, right? But if you only got it like 70% from the pictures alone, the text overlay seals the deal for you. You either say to yourself, oh, I don't need sippy cups in my house, and you keep scrolling, or OMG, I need these for my kids right now, and you click. The third pin is for a service-based business called Talkspace. So you're scrolling on your phone and you see, don't text your ex, text your therapist instead. And if this is something that speaks to you, something you're struggling with, you're likely going to click through and learn more. I mean, you're already scrolling on your phone anyway, right? Texting is tempting. The last pin, again, product-based, but demonstrating how text overlay can be really impactful. There was a lot of choices and actually a lot of testing to promote this product on Pinterest. The text overlay could have said, this is a plug that prevents your drain from getting clogged. But instead, it just says, no more clogged drains. To which a pinner with this problem says, gimme, 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 and clicks. The third mind shift is where I encourage you to realize you can up your game. You might be a seasoned blogger or a brand new course creator or a cash-strapped entrepreneur, but today you're going to start thinking like an advertiser, like Walmart with their big marketing budgets, or GoDaddy who pumps out online ads with their 10-person team. Yep, you can get the traffic and clicks from Pinterest without the big team or the big budgets, without hiring a graphic designer. You do not need to invest a ton of time or spend money, and you do not have to do all the things. That will just lead you to being stressed out and feeling defeated and probably hating Pinterest. So instead, I want you to design pins purposefully. Be that unicorn that stands out. Pin those new pins ahead of seasonal opportunities promotion cycles, and trends. Here's some insight I have to working with these big brands for years at Pinterest. Because they have big budgets to pay for ads, or promoted pins as they're called, they wait until the 11th hour to launch their seasonal or promotional campaigns. That's because they'll just pay to push that content out into people's feeds. They'll just buy the eyeballs. But you can have been pinning the same seasonal content for 3 to 4 months ahead of time, getting in front of all of these people when they're actually searching and starting to plan. Not only will you be getting in front of pinners first when they're beginning their planning, but also you'll be getting in front of them for free. So if you think about it, your scrappy small business skills paired with your Pinterest knowledge is going to put you at an advantage over these big brands who are going to be scrambling at the last minute and paying for all of these impressions and clicks. Also, tap into your analytics. No advertiser or marketer works off of what they think they should focus on. And if you have a business Pinterest account, which if you don't, you will certainly go switch right after this chat, you have access to the same type of data that they do. You can begin to create more intentionally and not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. It's about working smarter, not harder. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to poke around your analytics dashboard. Look at what pins are the most saved from your domain. Make sure that you're pinning more iterations of those pins and similar content. What pins are driving the most traffic? That's called outbound clicks in your Pinterest dashboard. You 100% need to be pinning more of that. Pinterest is telling you, hey, this type of content, these pins, people are clicking on them. So why wouldn't you just create more of that? Look at what pins are getting the most engagement. Can you use that information and optimize your blog post or page on your website? If you can see on Pinterest that these images are really engaging to people, you want to make sure that they're front and center on your blog and website. If you know what content is resonating with pinners, you know where to focus your effort. You can work smarter, not harder. Here's an example. I worked as a director of content for a company called The Grommet for almost 9 years. And by paying attention to our analytics, in the early days of Pinterest, I began to see that this one little old product we sold amongst tens of thousands was gaining so much traction on Pinterest. People were saving it and clicking on the pin and coming to site and purchasing. So I began making iterations of the pin. The layout of the couple images we had, different orders, zoomed in, zoomed out, different text overlay, and after testing a few designs, it became clear that using the text overlay hair tie bracelet was the winner. It was short, simple, and clear. So I was able to make the case to shoot more photos, even one themed red and green because Christmas was a few months out. And I made more pins using the same text overlay and the new images. And this product became a runaway for us on Pinterest. In creating just 28 pins over the course of 6 months or so, which really wasn't time consuming, we sold tens of thousands of units from Pinterest alone. So it's not science, and it didn't take a huge team or budget. But I wouldn't be a good marketer if I had stopped there. So we closed the loop by making sure anyone who came back to our website and wanted to pin this product was actually forced to pin the image that we chose. And of course, we chose the one that was performing the best on Pinterest at the time. It was our best performing pin, and meaning it got the most clicks when people saw it on Pinterest. You can do this too with plugins on most website platforms and plugins for your blog. If you have a pin that you know is best primed to share on Pinterest, make sure it's the one people are saving. So, the power of Pinterest to move the bar for your brand, blog, or business isn't in some overhyped formula of spending 80% of your time on this and 20% on that, or pinning X amount of images a day. It's about your mindset, realizing your content is the most important, and what is the most important is where we should be investing our time and resources. realizing it's not about being like everyone else. You need to test and find your own creative recipe using the pro tips I shared with you. And you can leapfrog your competition and even some big brands and stand out in the feed when you begin to think like an advertiser. Okay, who doesn't like a good review? Let's bring it home with a few last slides. Tips for creating standout pins. Again, we're going to speak to the pinner. I want you to really internalize that concept. It's just one I lead with every time I open Photoshop or Canva to make a pin. You want to stop their scroll. And you're going to always be designing for mobile. Remember, big and beautiful. Use compelling imagery. Layer on text overlays that support your image. Give it that 1-2 punch. Hey, and test some call to actions. You can create buttons that say, design little buttons on your pin that say learn more, shop now on the pin itself. People actually like to be told exactly what to do. That's thinking like an advertiser for sure. And find your own creative style. Don't be like everybody else. Deliver on your landing page. Remember, you're staying honest. You're giving them exactly what you told them you were going to give them. You're going to deliver on that quality content. And you're going to start pinning a variety of pin images for each piece of content and even different pin formats. There are a few different types of pin formats, but I want you to focus on the top 3. So let's talk about them. Static pins. You're familiar with these, the bread and butter of Pinterest. You are probably very familiar with creating these types of pins. They're a fixed size, that 2:3 aspect ratio, a single large image or combo of a couple. They link back to a URL of your choice. You should create several iterations for each piece of content like we've talked about. These are examples. All of these pins, these 4 unique pins, all lead to the same exact page. But each pin speaks to a different pinner. It's not one size fits all. These static pins should be the main type of pins you create because they will drive traffic. We also have the option to make video pins. It's recommended that they be between 4 to 15 seconds, but they can be up to 15. I would stick with that 4 to 15 second sweet spot if you have video footage. Your video should start with a hook, a compelling reason for someone to keep watching. Remember, you want to stop them in their scroll. And it still should include text overlay on video pins. Don't rely on audio. Most people are watching with their sound off, right? So your text overlay should help tell the story of your pin. And you can also link these to a URL of your choice. So I recommend testing these if you have access to video for your content. And the new kid on the block, idea pins. They're basically multiple pins connected together to share an idea, which the user scrolls through. Best practice is to include 3 to 7 pins in your idea. Have a hook. You still need to stand out in the feed, so use text overlay. It's a must. But the good news is, when you're creating idea pins with Pinterest built-in tools, adding text is really easy because it's built right into the experience of publishing these. Bad news, you cannot link to a URL with idea pins, but you can tag products if you have a product catalog connected. And these types of pins encourage followers to follow your account because the last card is always of your profile, which people can easily click and they get to your Pinterest profile. Since idea pins can include both static and video pins, if you have video, I suggest adding it as the first card, the first pin in your idea pin, which will really help you stand out in the feed. And be sure to create these on your mobile app because there are many more features available if you create them on mobile versus if you create them on desktop. And once you've added all of your pins in your idea pin, you'll click next and you'll add in details like title, notes, steps, you'll tag related topics. Don't skip any of these. Fill in every single detail so that Pinterest has more information on what your content is about. This is how they will determine to push it out to the home feed and the Today tab. Okay, that went by fast. I hope you rewatch this if you need to and feel empowered to start focusing on what really matters for Pinterest. And now that you've got all the tools and tips for creating killer content and pin designs, it might be a good time to point out that your pin's description is the other crucial piece to Pinterest success. We don't have enough time to dig into crafting powerful descriptions, but no worries. I put together a freebie for you. I created a simple guide creating Pinterest descriptions that drive traffic and sales, and it's the perfect complement to today's lessons. With the creative tools you just got, paired with the guide for pin descriptions, you'll be able to rock Pinterest. I can't wait to hear what you think. Please feel free to find me on social. I'm at Hostess Tori, and shoot me a DM on Instagram to say hi. Thanks everyone, and happy pinning.
You've been listening to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, where we support coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to translate their big picture vision into actionable plans to build out their business efficiently. If you love our show, we invite you to visit buildalifebydesign.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover more helpful resources. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you for listening.